The Insly program, I think, is now my sixth software system that I have actually installed in a company in which I've worked. With the Insly program, it was built by an individual that actually ran an insurance entity and found that their software systems available weren't actually operating the way that they needed, and that was something that was of particular draw. The Insly system provides us with the security of data. Our systems are compliant with the requirements for data protection. The quality of our presentations are some of the best that they've seen in the marketplace. Efficiencies are improved by the software programmers, and in this case it's Insly.
Hello, dear Insly audience. This time we have a guest from Canada, Gary Hirst, who is an Insly customer, CEO of CHES Special Risk, as well as founder and previous president of Canadian Association of MGAs. So hello, Gary, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Risto. Thank you very much for the introduction and the invitation to participate in your customer review. Thank you. And as a short introduction, maybe it's better than you tell what you actually do in CHES and what's your short background story. Well, I'm the current president and chief executive of CHES Special Risk. I suppose that really means I'm the senior sort of business mind at CHES, and when I say that, I'm talking about the lengths of years of experience that I have. I am now in my 38th year of working in insurance, and over 38 years I've travelled around the world extensively. I've done business in different countries around the world, and I'm hoping that all of that experience is something that I can bring to the benefit of my colleagues here at CHES, but also to the benefit of brokers in Canada as well as potential policyholders. We've been building out our company over the last 6 years, even though CHES is 17 years old this year. The new management took over in 2016, excuse me, and we've set about expanding the business. We now have 4 offices in Canada. We have over 55 people working in the company, offering over 250 different insurance products. But one item that was extremely important to me when I first started with CHES was the ability to find a good, efficient software system. I spent a great deal of my career, over 30 years, looking at various different software programs. And the Insly program, I think, is now my sixth software system that I have actually installed in a company in which I've worked. And I must say it is one of the better software systems that I've worked with over that period of time.
Yeah, that's really cool. I actually thought it's good to ask also how this selection process usually is, but I thought that actually you selected Insly already like 5 years ago, so I don't know whether you remember that, but I would imagine that it's not really easy because there are a lot of competition available, a lot of different software. So if you are not every day in that business and you have a task, please select the software, then I wouldn't know actually where to begin. So where did you begin 5 years ago when you ended up with Insly?
Well, as you say, there is a lot on offer, and there is seemingly a lot of competition in software. But for us, when we were looking for a software system, we were really trying to learn from all of the comments that we've had from insurers over the years, auditors, as well as looking to the future and how the software system can help us develop the company going into the future. Now, I did a lot of research within the Canadian marketplace because there are 3 or 4 software companies that have a very big presence here in Canada. And I actually found them not something that we can work with because they were predominantly built for insurance brokers. We are a managing general agent, so we are very similar to an insurance company. So our function is completely different to an insurance broker in that an insurance broker is worried about their customers. We're worried about our insurers. And the sort of attention to detail that we have to provide to our insurers is completely different to an insurance broker. So that is one of the first items I think to look at is who is the software actually built for? Now, the second thing that we were looking at is who actually built the system and what is their experience. Now, a lot of the software systems in Canada are built by software programmers. And I know that may sound a pretty silly comment, but what I mean by that is that it's built by software programmers that think they know what an insurance entity requires from a software program. With the Insly program, it was built by an individual that actually ran an insurance entity and found that their software systems available weren't actually operating the way that they needed. And that was something that was of particular draw. Now, the other aspect of the software system is one-time entry. Now, one of the biggest problems that I found over the years working in insurance is duplication of entry of data into a software system. Every time you're asking a new person to put data concerned to the same policy into a system, you're potentially running the risk of a keying error. And that, again, was something that we found very good within Insly, is that it is basically a one-touch system. You have an individual, in our case, an underwriter, who inputs the detail of the insured into the Insly data capture window, and that information is now propagated throughout the system. It propagates into the risk bordereau, the invoicing, the statements, as well as other areas of documentation, and that also was very important to us. So reducing keying errors. We also were looking at the speed and efficiency of data capture. Now, in order for us to make money at the business of being a managing general agent, we need speed and accuracy. And we found that the Insly software system does actually give us that speed. There are a fairly limited number of important fields that need to be completed. But once they're completed, we can then go in there and create our various quote templates. And when it comes to binding, we can then issue a policy wording within a matter of minutes. So speed of doing the transaction is also extremely important and is one of the magic recipes to making money, and the Insly system does actually provide us with that efficiency. So they're the basic areas that we were looking at when we were looking to install a new software system.
Okay, and as you have been using Insly, have you also kind of tried to yourself to quantify these winnings somehow? Because software always has a cost element, right? So it doesn't come for free. There are a lot of benefits that come together with software, as you nicely listed out. But now, what have you won out of that? So have you some kind of measurable increase in sales or the decrease in costs that you can identify, or you're also okay to share with wider audience? So is there a
yes,
that's a good investment.
Well, primarily what is driving a lot of the business nowadays is compliance. And, so it's got, frankly, nothing to do with actually trying to make any money. It is the rules and regulations that govern insurance companies, MGAs, brokers, etc. So we found that the Insly system provides us with the security of data. So we know that our systems are compliant with the requirements for data protection. We're also aware that it provides us with some very accurate record keeping. And it also provides us with an enormous amount of data. Now, that data we have to share with insurers, but also what we were looking for originally was a system that would give us a great deal of data, and that we could then manipulate that data to help us achieve a better standard of underwriting profit. And that's currently what we're doing. Now, we provide some very detailed reviews of our customer base to our insurance companies. And this is telling our insurance companies where the risk is located, and we can do that with a great deal of accuracy using postcode and longitude and latitude. Where that's important is the use of various earthquake and flood aggregates, in that if we can provide some really detailed information, then we can use the aggregates that are given to us a lot more efficiently, and that increases profitability to the insurers. It also enables us to undergo a very detailed review of profitability of each class of business that we write. We're able to look at each individual underwriter that works at CHES. We can monitor what their capabilities are in terms of profitability, but also link that profitability to various class codes. Those class codes can then be split by province, by county, and by postcode. And that, again, what that has actually meant, and it is measurable, is that a huge amount of the insurers that we deal with have actually said to us that the quality of our presentations are some of the best that they've seen in the marketplace. And that ultimately is what is going to win a contract from an insurer. Insurers have a great deal of choice when it comes to dealing with an MGA, and they're looking for ease of doing business. So the MGA that actually understands their business and can actually communicate that to the insurer is the one that's going to keep a binder. A lot of the MGAs that have closed up and stopped doing business over the last 5 or 6 years have done so because they haven't paid attention to the quality of data that's now required by the insurers who they rely on to give them capacity.
Yeah, that's like interesting, kind of logical. It seems that the MGA is actually the most important task is to keep capacity providers, insurers happy, and then customers are somehow happy automatically. That's just like it's really important because that helps you to give better products to the customers if you keep your insurers really happy, and the technology plays some important role in that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Makes sense. And during let's say our cooperation period, what now has been around 5 years, Insly also has developed a lot. So you actually were one of our first customers. So you have been actually running for 5 years on now we can call it on an old Insly version, and we are just kind of. We have just launched our new version, and this is so new that migrating from old to new requires already meaningful migration, and that's now complete kind of no-code solution. So in your current version, product development still takes time, but in a new version that should be done within in principle during the phone call almost we can set up insurance products. So maybe you can a little bit elaborate on that as well. So how why you have made that decision, although you are happy, you have a nice software, right? So I understand that today you are already kind of on a top 10% in Canada in terms of MGA software. So now have made the decision that you are also upgrading to our latest product version. And again, it's not coming from free, so it's investment from your side. And you know what you have seen there, and how that's gonna help us in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well. The one lesson that I've learnt over the years when it comes to software is that software is constantly evolving and improving. We've spent a considerable amount of money with Insly in developing the current version of Insly that we operate with, and it is very efficient. However, as a company, we have always taken the view that we must have the best that we can possibly afford when it comes to software system and data capture. One of the main reasons for that is our team of people that work here at CHES, our underwriters, our processors, our accounts people. They're having to work with the software system every single day. And we're aware that the new Insly system does provide a more easy way of transacting business through the system. Now, it's not saying that there's anything wrong with the current version. It's just that with technology, efficiencies are improved by the software programmers, and in this case, it's Insly. Now, we are aware that the new upgrade system does provide us with a great deal more data capture for the same licensing fee. We're aware that we will be able to do a lot more simple changes in-house rather than asking Insly to do that. And obviously, we're aware that we're not the only customer that Insly has, and there is just a necessary delay in getting those changes done. Whereas with the new system, we're actually able to do those upgrades ourselves because Insly have developed the software along the lines of a more Microsoft Word type document that allows us to do those changes. So our efficiencies will improve. Our volumes going through Insly have changed enormously as well. As I said earlier, 6 years ago, we started off with 1 employee. We're now at 55. And of course, you know, there is space on servers and reaction times, etc., and not as fast as when you're smaller. We're also aware, of course, that Insly are migrating to this new version, and you know, if we continue to evolve in this old style of Insly software system, there will get to a stage in the future where the attention is more towards the new style software than the style software that we currently use. So you are encouraged to do the migration for all of those reasons. But primarily, we're looking at this as an opportunity to provide our team with a far better system than we currently operate. It will improve efficiencies. Those efficiencies, I'm guessing, will translate to some cost savings, which I haven't yet identified, but I'm sure there will be some cost savings. But it also helps us to maintain that high standard of quality of data delivery to the insurers that we represent.
What's your business take on that topic? That I, to my understanding, you haven't yet kind of opened to your brokers like the self-service possibility. So you are like really servicing the brokers yourself. They email you, they call you, are kind of really acting fast to them using our software. But in principle, we see some of our customers in certain regions already moving to the direction that brokers can log in themselves, calculate the prices, issue the policies. It depends, of course, from product to product. But do you see also that happening with your business, or would you like kind of prefer to do everything for the broker and just kind of pick up the phone if they call to them and reply to the emails? So what's your thought on that? And it depends on what brokers prefer as well, so you cannot really force that to them. But do you see that as one of the direction where MGAs who sell in the broker channel should move, or rather no?
Well, we're talking about the ability that the brokers could have for online quote and bind, really. So can they go into our domain and create quotes themselves? Now, it's a very complex question for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is subdelegation of authority. As an MGA, authority to quote and bind is given to us by our insurers. And the one thing that we're not allowed to do is to give that authority to somebody else, i.e. a broker. So that is one of the very first complexities that I think you have to look at. Now, there are ways of providing that ability to a broker, and that is by creating a square box. The square box has a number of industry codes in it, a number of extensions in coverage, and 2 or 3 deductible options. And the system can then provide a price according to that. Now, that is something that has been around from some of our competitors and competing insurance companies for a number of years. But what we're now hearing is that you now need a broker to go around all of the different online quote and bind systems to get a quote. And the problem with it is that it still requires the broker to input the same detail that they've already inputted somewhere else. So they may have access to 4 or 5 online quote and bind systems. And someone has to sit there efficiently and key in all this information 4 or 5 different times. And, brokers we hear are pretty fed up with that. Now, our business model is not really one of providing a product that a broker can go and get somewhere else. Because we're in the business of creating a solution. We're not in the business of producing what everybody else produces. And that is another consideration for online quote and bind. Now, we are looking at migrating part of our portfolio to online quote and bind because there are minimum premium considerations of doing a transaction manually through an underwriter. So there can be efficiency in pricing by providing access to a certain part of the portfolio that the brokers can quote. And that is something that we are talking to Insly about at the moment. And that is something we understand is more easily available from the new version of Insly.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a very logical answer. I would imagine that it's easier for the broker to send same PDF to 10 MJs than insert it than system. So it's kind of how you can process that really fast and give that personal service to the broker with the help of IT, so that they don't need to. Brokers are lazy, right? So it's if they can send you something and you very fast send them the price and the policy, so that's kind of that will make them happy, right? Okay, it's a difficult thing. You need to find right balance in that. Makes total sense. Okay, let's maybe to summarize. Let's zoom up a little bit our conversation, and I also know that you are kind of a bit of visionary and you like to think about macro themes. So what's your take on in general? insurance innovation, and what would be kind of the interesting, in your opinion, the interesting innovative things in insurance industry that's going to happen in the next few years to come, what you would like to share?
Yes, well, I have followed, obviously, insurance innovations over my career. And you hear so much about the disruption and these new entities coming in to provide disruption to the way that insurance is either delivered or transacted. And I found that, all of these new startups that you hear about, predominantly in the USA, they're all headlines of, what a disruptor and this is going to be fantastic. But ultimately, after 2 or 3 years, they're not doing anything different to anybody else. And I think that there are some fundamentals of insurance that really can't change, because it is about trying to create an insurance product that reacts to a customer's issue at a premium that the customer wants to pay. And I think ultimately that is the crux of the problem, is how do you get to a stage where you disrupt that particular issue? How do you allow a customer to design their own insurance and decide on the premium that they want to pay? Now, the problem with that then is, will you find an insurance carrier that will commit capacity to providing the desires of the customer? And ultimately, it does get to a stage, I'm afraid, where there are certain perils and certain risks that an insurance company just can't provide. There's not enough money to be able to insure various things. So I'm not really seeing any changes in the way that insurance is delivered, and the way that it can be transacted. We're hearing about Amazon and Google, offering whatever they're offering, but ultimately it's still going to come down to a list of exclusions, a list of perils, and a premium associated with that. What I would like to see is really a true mutualization of risk. And I haven't yet seen this come out into the marketplace. And this is perhaps a group of 100 policyholders. They all own a similar sort of house, and they decide to properly mutualize their risk. And what I mean by that is that they all agree to put in X amount of money, and if during the course of a year there are loss or damage, and it doesn't necessarily need to be defined loss or damage, that the pool of cash is actually paid out. Now, the problem with that, and it is an inherent problem of insurance, is that you could well have 2 or 3 of those mutual benefactors putting in more claims than the others. And then that's where the whole thing starts to disintegrate, because you have people sitting there saying, well, I haven't put a claim in for 5 years and now my premium's going up. And you've got other folk that are sitting there that have put premiums in for 2 years and received claims back that are 200 times more than the premium that they put in. This is going to be a lifelong problem that comes up. So I'm not really seeing any disruptor or any sort of unique changes. But I do think that the current hard market is certainly making customers aware that there is a cost to insurance, in that insurance companies can't continue to offer a really low level of premium because the claims are there, and they're going to go out of business. And if the insurance companies go out of business, then we all have a problem. Banks won't lend money, and if the banks won't lend money, then the economies start to disintegrate.
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic. I've been thought about that a lot as well, and that sharing pool concepts. But yeah, they have a problem that if there are friends together, then you might start losing friends, right? So it's like then lending money to your friend. You don't have the money, and you don't have the friend.
Yes.
So,
well, that's invariably what happens. It's the mutuals tried that. Some of the mutuals have been very successful with that, but I'm sure over the hundreds of years that the mutuals have been in force, that a number of their founding fathers have probably had an argument at some stage and have moved on. It is a difficult industry to try to change, because there has to be some fairly rigid conditions in place that allows the capital provider to make some money, but at the same time giving the customer added value, and that's an extremely fine balance.
Yeah, so I think thank you very much for sharing your experience and your future thoughts and vision with our customers, existing and future customers, and whoever is watching our channel.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Thanks, Risto. Nice to see you, and thank you for the invitation.